welcome back to another episode. Welcome back to another interview. Today I have David Anderson on the show, and we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about something that's really socially that happens a lot. And we talk about marriage, we talk about relationships. Dave you have helped a lot of relationships.
Absolutely.
Right? You have helped a lot of relationships, and we're going to bring all that information to you. So in case there's something that you have missed in your relationship, maybe your last relationship, or you're trying to better your relationship, we're trying to give you that type of guidance so you can make better decisions later on, or better decisions right now in the relationship you have. Dave, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for coming through.
Man, thank you. This is my pleasure.
So before we go ahead and get started, can you just give the audience just a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is David Anderson. I am the wedding chaplain. I'm a local pastor, but I have been in the wedding and premarital counseling world, for about 25 years. Okay. I have officiated over 1,800 wedding ceremonies. So I've worked with over 1,800 couples. And so just the hours for that, I've spent a lot of time in front of folks who are, they're looking forward to their big day.
Yeah.
And they think it's all just, roses and sunshine. We're just going to get married. And it's all going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Moving forward. So it's really been a joy to be able to work with those couples, different situations, and just really get them ready for that process. And so it's a passion of mine to do to do premarital counseling, obviously to be with folks on their biggest day, their best day. But yeah, so it's a lot of, spend a lot of time in the church on Sundays and throughout the week, but working with couples on Fridays and Saturdays. That's a big thing for me.
The first thing I want to say there is I know the importance of premarital counseling.
Absolutely.
Like that, if I was to get married, that is the first thing I am suggesting to my future wife is we have to go to counseling before we get married.
Absolutely.
I think that it helps you, and correct me if I'm wrong, it helps you kind of flush out some of the fears or some of the questions that you may have that you may not think that you can talk to your spouse about, or some concerns, maybe not questions, but concerns that you may have when you're talking.
It does a lot of things. I mean, it does all of that. There are conversations that you should have. And it is fear that really keeps folks away from some of that. I don't want to talk to you about money. I don't want to talk to you about my family. I don't want to talk to you about your past relationships or my past relationships. And so it's a lot safer. It's a lot more beneficial. You're going to have somebody's going to ask you questions.
Yeah.
And it's sort of the same thing. Like, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want, hey, tell me about your diet and tell me about how much salt you're consuming and how much exercise are you really doing and all those different things. But those are important questions.
Right.
And so to have somebody ask those questions and really just sort of give you some guidance. There's things that you haven't thought about. You need to talk about all of it. You need to talk about money. You need to talk about your family of origin. You need to talk about those past relationships. If I have had 5 bad breakups and I'm with you now, and then all of a sudden, you're not going to be one of the 5. I just dated 5 weirdos, but you're not the weirdo. No, you got to talk about that stuff. So, it really is getting you ready. I mean, one of the things I always try to tell couples is this: you need to prepare for the wedding. You need to prepare for marriage. Those are not the same thing. One is a very big, exciting party, which is a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of gifts and money, and everybody will be there and all that. But the other one is marriage. You have to wake up the next day and be able to go forward and realize, hey, I'm in a new partnership. I'm in a new relationship. So that's really what premarital counseling does: is gets you ready for the day after, and the season after, and the life after, moving forward.
So now let me ask you this: from premarital counseling, past the wedding, then into the marriage, and say the first few years into the marriage, do you see some of those couples coming back for more counseling?
I do. So I work with probably about 10% of the folks that I do weddings for.
Okay.
Which is fine for me because I can't revisit 1,800 couples. But it's about 10%. And I would say typically the time frame is about 4 to 7 years.
Okay.
There's an email like, hey, do you remember Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so? You did our wedding back in 2019, 2018. Like, hey guys, how are you doing? You're like, hey, we've had 2 kids. We're doing well.
Okay.
Or at least we thought we were doing well. And then there's something,
right,
and we want to talk about that. And, I keep a pretty extensive file, so I'll go back real quick. And if there was anything that sort of just stuck out to me, I'll pull it back out. But a lot of times I'll have no idea. Like, hey, you guys were amazing when I met with you. What happened?
What happened?
And it's just life. It's just, we were not prepared. We were not prepared for what was going on. We weren't prepared for losing a job. We weren't prepared for somebody getting sick. We weren't prepared for some terrible accident. We just weren't prepared for that. No one's really prepared for that.
Right.
And so we said, well, let's go back and revisit some of those things. But yeah, no, you need a third voice. I mean, that's really sort of the key idea is that you need businesses do this all the time. I mean, they have consultants, and you bring in a consultant, you bring in somebody with fresh eyes who doesn't really have a connection other than I care for both of you.
Okay.
So it's not biased. It's like, hey, I'm going to sit down with both of you and be honest. You need to do this. You need to do this. You're doing great in these areas. These are some areas that you need to work on. And that's an important thing. And so I have a lot of folks who, sometimes they just want to check up. Like there's really nothing wrong. And maybe that surprises them or whatever. Like you guys are fine. You're really doing okay. But they just want to like, hey, we went through some of that material before, but we really weren't listening. I get it. A lot of times they're not. But hey, let's review it now. Now that you're in it, now that you have kids, now that you are, you're past all that. To just have somebody to talk to. So yeah, counseling it's an important thing to have a third voice, a coach, and sometimes people don't like the word counseling. So you use consultant, coach, a marriage coach, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's an important thing just to have somebody else. Hey, I want to bounce something off of you. And that it won't be emotionally charged and it won't be, there just really will just hopefully be an honest take, So you going to your best friend or her going to her best friend or her mother or your brother or whatever, that's probably not good, because they're going to, on the girl's side, they will side with the girl. What I've also found is that all of my friends will side with the girl too, which is weird. I don't know why. I'm always wrong. So,
That's interesting. That's you're wrong.
I'm just generally wrong. If you just go ahead, dude, just go back in there and stop being a jerk.
Like I know I'm making sense, but I'm wrong. Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
So I want to jump back to something that you said. So it was 2 things that you had said. One, I do like the fact that, don't go to other people to talk about the issue that's in your relationship. Okay.
Exactly.
And the second thing is that even if you're going for that third opinion, that third voice, even though things aren't wrong and, you're having a good relationship, there's nothing wrong with that check-in just to make sure, because sometimes people minds will play tricks on them.
Oh, absolutely.
They think that something is wrong and nothing is really wrong. Like nothing is happening.
Right.
And I think that kind of happens, and at least for me in relationships, it happens when things are a little too peaceful.
Sure, absolutely.
Things are a little too routine.
Yeah,
it's kind of like your mind starts thinking, okay, well, is something wrong? Like, we're not doing as much. I ask them, do they want to go out? They don't want to go out. And sometimes, it's just changes in work schedule, changes in our body, different work schedules. Sometimes it can be a little bit more mentally draining. And it takes something out of you where you really just want to, I just want to just chill this weekend. I don't want to do anything. I want to go to the movies. I don't really feel like it. I just want to sit in. And it can give the other person the wrong mindset about where the relationship is at that point in time.
Well, and the other thing that shows up a lot of times is, if it's like the family that you came from, like your family of origin.
True. That's a big
Your family of origin always had drama and you're not having it. You're like, oh, something's wrong. Like something's off. Like, no, you just don't have any drama. So a lot of it's expectations. I mean, a lot of it's being very clear. You want to learn the language of your partner, and we all speak the same language. No, there's different things. There's a language that you got from your family, and there, there's a language that she got. And a lot of times you have to be the translator. You're like, so when my family is saying this thing over here, this is what they mean.
Yeah.
It's not what it sounds like. This is what they mean. And this is what your family sounds like. And you want to be able to just understand, like, hey, when you are telling me you're tired or you don't want to go out or what, I want to be able to, like, what does that really mean? When there's an old cliche, like, when you ask a woman what's wrong, like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. I mean, there's a certain point, like, I do know there is something wrong. And so, once you say it 3 times, I get to, like, hey, you said it. So what's really up? What's really going on? Or you can say like, hey, I'm going to come back in an hour and we're going to talk. And just give it, so there's not an emotional reaction to, I just don't want to do this right now. Like, okay, hey, I'm cool.
That's fine.
Come back in an hour. And, but I do want to ask you what's going on. And so there's different ways to approach it, but a lot of times we just sort of get into a cycle. You kind of fall into your rut. She falls into her rut, and you gotta watch out for that stuff. And that's where you try to break some of that stuff up with dating, with scheduled conversations, things like that.
So one of the questions that come to mind is, how often does boundaries come up in the conversation? Because I know, and this is just from my experience, and Pharaoh fans, just to let y'all know, no, I have not been married yet, but like, I'm not.
We'll work on that. I think we're taking applications. If you want to send them in,
I'm not talking from a marriage perspective, but I know from relationships, and this is just my personal experience, that I've always had a issue with enforcing boundaries with certain things, whether it's activities, whether it's time, or anything. Like, just being able to force boundaries to sometimes have my own personal space to just kind of breathe, relax, and decompress on some days. So how often does that come up in conversation? Like, well, sometimes I just want time to myself, or sometimes I just want to go hang out with my friends, or sometimes I want to do this, but they want to be around as well, just not giving me my own space.
Well, some of it unfortunately is just security, or insecurity. I mean, the idea of boundaries, you want to establish that very, very quickly, because this is who I am. So what happens, unfortunately, is when you first meet someone, you're perfect. They're perfect. I mean, you guys are perfect for 6 months. I mean, and she's hot, you're hot, and you have no problems. You're perfectly patient. You never have a temper. You do all the chores, and she don't have to remind you about anything. And y'all are on your best behavior. Everybody is, for 6 months. And there's a chemical that is released called oxytocin that thank goodness it's there, because if that wasn't there, none of us would be married. Okay. But there is this chemical saying, hey, you are in love. You are in love. It's the love drug. But after that 6 months is over, you got to have some other things that connect you. So that's why, when you're dating, you're like, hey, what are your common interests? What, do you like to read? Do you like to do movies? Are you sports? Please tell me your football, what those things are. But unfortunately, some people are they're not honest. I mean, I'm so desperate to hold on to you that in the first 6 months, I will say, hey, you can watch football whenever you want. Is that really true? Is that really true? Mm-hmm. And then, a year later, like, oh my gosh, you're watching football all the time. And you're like, well, I didn't lie. I kind of told you that from the beginning. And right. So you want to be very clear. Hey, these are the things that, I value my friendships. I value the time with my friendships. I value, there are some personalities that need, what I call it cave time. Like, I love you. I love spending time with you. You're beautiful. You're handsome, whatever. And I need 2 hours by myself.
Yeah.
Okay. And that has to be okay. That, every cool superhero has cave time, Superman, Batman, they all have their, what are they doing in that cave? Okay. But, you need some time to recharge, and that's personality. Now, some personalities that don't need it. Some personalities, hey, I could just go, my wife could talk to people all day long. I can't, even as a minister, even as a counselor, I run out of words after a while. And I just need to recharge. And she knows that. She knows that there's going to be a point where I need to go up to my chair. I'm writing, I'm working on stuff, and she lets me be. And it's very cool. But she's talking to other people. She's not waiting there like, okay, hope that guy comes down soon so we can keep. No, she's good. She goes off and does her own thing. So that's what dating is for. You sort of figure, hey, this is our synergy. This is our thing. And you want to be very clear on who you are and what you're looking for. So hey, if I value being at home, if I value cooking at home, not saying that somebody has to cook and no stereotypes or anything like that, but I enjoy that. I want to have a home where, we have everything we need in our kitchen. We have a deck, we have a backyard. We like being here. And you find somebody, it's like, you know what? I don't like cooking and I like going out. I like going out 2 or 3 times a week. And, I love traveling and I love this thing. You were honest. They were honest.
Right.
And so if you turn it into, I still like you, or I'm still attracted to you, and I'm going to try to move you off of that, then you're in trouble. Like, you're in trouble because hey, I told you who I am. So that's what you want to ask questions. And you don't want to hurry things when you're dating. Take your time.
Yes.
There is a reality for most folks is that they rush. Time is your friend when you're dating. Time is your friend. It's not your enemy. And a lot of you are like, oh, we got to hurry up. I got to lock this down.
Yeah.
And you like, hey, when do we get to decide? Are you my girlfriend? Are you my boyfriend? What are we? What's the definition of the relationship? I get all that. Take your time. There is no rush. And if someone's rushing, then they're worried. Then someone burned them before, and now they're like, I got to hurry up. I got to hurry this thing along. We got to microwave this thing. Microwave food's never good. Okay. A crock pot is good. A microwave is not good. I don't care what you're making in a microwave. It's never good. It's okay. It'll do. It's edible. It'll suffice, but not a good stew, not a good soup. That takes time. You got to let that thing marinate for a little bit. So, but that's really what you're asking questions. You're trying to get to know that person, and you're very clear, like, hey, this is your boundaries. Now, I would say this also too. Your boundaries will change. Okay, the boundaries you have when you're single, they will change, because the reality is once you're married, your single friends disappear. Not intentionally.
They supposed to disappear.
They're supposed to disappear. Now, if you got the ones that hang around, then they probably got the issue. But what have your single friends? They'll either become married friends or they go away. and that's it's not all the time, but it's why doesn't Johnny come over anymore? Well, Johnny's just a single guy, and there's just a weird thing. You guys are married, and what's Johnny supposed to do? So now you will find yourself more in married relationships, married friendships. Hey, there's two other couples, we're hanging out, we're doing stuff together. It just it feels better. And if Johnny gets married, then he can come back in the circle. But your boundaries definitely change. And then really once you have kids, the boundary, like there ain't no boundaries then.
Ain't no boundaries.
They'll tell you what you're doing.
Kids
you ain't hanging out with nobody. Get up there and change that diaper. You ain't going to your friends tonight. You're going to change diapers.
So I have to chime in because you said something that made so much sense, and I always get beat down because I always make this decision when it comes to my friends. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I have majority of my friends are married. Mm-hmm. Okay. I would say about 90% of my friends are married. Mm-hmm. So, and we were all cool even when they were single. Mm-hmm. And they end up getting married. So when they got married, I stopped calling. Mm-hmm. And then they come to me and say, well, why you stop calling? Well, you're married now.
Right. Right.
Like we can no longer talk after work. We can only talk during work hours. Like I value that privacy. I value that union. And I'm not one to, try to be able to have those conversations, especially with my female friends.
Right.
I know that you're married. So no, I'm not going to call you on the weekend like I used to. No, we're not going to be on the phone 3 hours after work like we used. No, they're like, well, you can still call. No, I'll call you during work hours. Like I'll text you during work hours. That'll be the only time you hear from me. Now they invite me to events, which I'll show up to because there'll be other single people there. But I understand the realm that they're in. But I get a lot of They chastise me a lot about it. Say, well, since I got married, I don't hear from you no more. Even my father got married, and he was like, well, you don't come over no more because you're married. You're no longer single. When you're
I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah, like I would like when you single, I'll just come over, or I'll call, I'll pop up. Hey, I know you was home. What's going on? Like we're going to hang out tonight.
Right.
You married. You're not about to come hang out with me no
more. Some of it's just time. Some of it's really just time. So. Some of it, I would say this: the people who are your friends who are married, they're probably plotting to get you married. Like that's what they're talking about. They're trying to figure out a way to get you somebody. So they're not telling you that, but that's what they're plotting. The other reality is you can only maintain, and I would say it's more when you're single, but once you get married, you can only maintain about 11 to 15 relationships. Okay. And in that number, you've got there's 5 that are super close. Okay. Right. Maybe a brother or sister or sibling, and maybe not all siblings equal. I don't want to tell that to siblings, but I'm really close to 1 or 2. So there's a 0 to 5, then there's the 5 to 10, there's the 11 to 15. But past that, you cannot maintain anything over 15 with any seriousness. And it really is just a time factor. If I have to work, if I 8 to 5 or whatever, and if I go home to my spouse and, so I get home at 6 or 5:30 or whatever. And, we're trying to spend time together. We're trying to watch a show. We're trying to get into bed by 10 o'clock, there's only a certain number of hours in the day. And then after that, you're like, hey, how many people am I really going to maintain a relationship with? And it really, if you think about high school, if you go back to high school, every senior class, like, oh my gosh, we're all friends. We're always going to stay close. We're always going to stay connected. No. There's 4 people, maybe, and the older you get, then it's 2 people. Then it's really just 1. Then you go back to the reunion. You're like, oh my gosh, what happened? Like,
yeah.
I don't know. We got married and got older. So, that's the reality for a lot of married people. And once you have kids, that just goes out the window. You really, I've had some married friends Like they literally, you don't hear from them, and it's okay. Like hey, yeah, I don't want to mess up. You guys are trying to raise a kid. You got a 3-month-old at home or something. So some of it just goes away. You just can only maintain so much, and then there's a value system. It's like, hey, it just, or if it goes circles, okay, spouse, children, my family, my siblings, my parents, and man, if you have a big family, that thing can take over.
Yeah.
And I've seen it. What the weirdest thing, I talk about this thing called the cave all the time, where the year after your wedding, people enter the cave, and they don't mean to. But there was a study that was done that said that they asked people how big your wedding party was. How big, all right, I had 6 groomsmen, there were 6 bridesmaids, whatever. All right. How many of them were family? 2, I had my brother, 2 brothers were in my wedding, and the rest of them were my friends. And they asked then, after 1 year, how much conversation have you had with the groomsmen that were not your relatives? And the results were shocking. It was almost 20%.
Wow.
Okay? Like 0 to 20%. And you're like, hold on. They were in your wedding. Some of these guys are your best man. This is your crew. These are your boys. These are your people. And you're telling me the year after the wedding that you haven't talked to some of them, you haven't talked to. You haven't had one conversation with these folks. And it sort of shocked them when they said it out loud. And they, first of all, really couldn't believe, has it already been a year? Yep, it already has been a year. Now, over time, they go back and reestablish those things. But the first year, you're just scrambling, because however long you're engaged, 6 months, 8 months, 12 months, whatever, you're doing all this stuff to get ready for this event. Then after the wedding, you're playing catch up, because I have not been a good employee. I've been letting stuff slide. Yep. And, my fiance, she's got me running everywhere. We're trying on tuxes. We're trying cakes. We're picking, what are we having to eat? And we're going to all these meetings, got to meet with this minister guy. He's weird. You're doing all this stuff, but you're putting all this other stuff on the back burner.
Yeah.
You haven't realized it with your friends. You really don't spend a lot of time with your friends during engagement. You think you are, because you have arranged certain things with them. All right, guys, we're going to Vegas. We're going to have a weekend. We're going to have our bachelor party. It's going to be awesome. But the reality is you don't talk to them very much. You don't use plans. And obviously they're going to be there at the wedding, and it's all awesome. But they go away. They all disappear. And it's them also. Like, there's a weird thing, like, oh, I can't call them. They're married now. Like, okay, we're not sleeping together every day. Like, this is not 24 hours. We think it would be like that, but it's not. But they think it is. Like, oh, I wouldn't want to stop by. Y'all might be in the middle. Like, no, we're probably cutting grass, and probably
we just here chilling, just having a good time
or whatever. So, but yeah, it changes. And I say, those relationships, you want to make sure you're evaluating who's important here, and you want to make sure those are kept up. The responsibility for relationships after you're married is up to you.
Yes.
Okay.
I agree.
It will not fall on anyone else. No one will come to you and say, hey, I need to maintain. Nope. You, husband or wife, you need to go back into your circle and reclaim those and keep those and keep working on them. So
now I want to ask you this now about the date challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, I really wanted to jump into that, and I'm glad we had all that conversation before, but I want to jump into the date challenge and talk about that, because I find it really interesting of how you had it shaped up for couples, especially those that are kind of in a rut and trying to come out of that rut.
Absolutely. Yeah, one of the things. So there's two main areas. I mean, there's a lot of topics that you can go into premarital counseling. Finances, family, all kinds of things. There's two main things that I'm interested in. The first is dating. The research tells us some very interesting things, that there really is only one secret sauce.
Yeah.
And it's you want compatibility and common interests, all that. The secret sauce is dating. And what the research tells us is that the couples that date stay together.
Right.
Couples that date stay together. And that doesn't sound like rocket science. That does not sound like, wow, like that cannot be that simple. But the reality of the situation is that once you're together, okay, once you've hit a very permanent place in your relationship, so once you've gotten married, gotten engaged, moved in together, whatever, once you're permanent, once we're a thing, the idea of dating goes away. Now, this is how it all started. I mean, the whole concept of dating, like, hey, I asked you, do you want to get dinner, go get coffee?
Yeah.
You know, can I come see you? That's how it all started. I liked you, then I asked you out again. And then you just sort of go through the process. And we kind of rush to make sure, hey, what are we now? Are we a couple or all that? But the reality is you got together to be together.
Right.
You got together to spend time together.
Right.
Now, what happens, unfortunately, is there's something called we call it the illusion of proximity.
Okay, the illusion of proximity.
It's a very fancy way of saying we're together all the time. Okay. Now, COVID did this to us. You know that we couldn't go anywhere. You know, if you were in a relationship, it got serious really quick, or it broke up really quick. But the illusion of proximity is like, hey, I go to bed and there you are. I wake up and there you are. I go in my bathroom and there you are. And so there's this illusion. There's illusion. The illusion is, oh, we're on it's a never ending date. No. Every day is not romantic. My kids watch that. What is it? The Love Island thing. No, it's not like that. That is not how life works. Okay. There's a lot of your day that is just not romantic. We got to do the dishes. We got to cut the grass. We got to do taxes. We got to take care of the kids and all that. But we think, well, we've been in the house together all day. That means we're spending time together.
Right.
No. The phrase that I would use is you're doing time together. That's never a good phrase. Okay.
That sounds like jail time.
Yes. Or killing time. So, and there's a weird thing. Like if I spend all day, so we're in the house, me and my wife, 8 hours a day. If we stop at 5 o'clock, we get dressed and we go to Chili's, which is my personal. That's mine. There's something different. There's something different about the 2 hours at Chili's than the 8 hours at home. What is it? I don't know. I can't, that's magic, I guess. But just the idea, hey, we're on a date. We are on a date. And so the reality is that people stop dating. They stop dating once they're engaged, once they're committed. And they're not doing it intentional. It's not like, hey, I proposed to you and now we're just not going to go out anymore. They think, oh, we're together all the time.
Right.
So the date challenge is very simple. What I tell couples while they're engaged is this: there's 4 rules to the date challenge. The first rule is very simple. It's sort of an obvious rule. The first rule is you have to go on a date once a week. Okay. If you go on a date 5 nights a week, I don't care, but you have to go on a date one night a week. Some people try to date once every 2 weeks, once a month. That's not enough time. Like, again, I try to remind people, you got together because you want to spend time together. And it's a weird concept. Okay. But I want to spend time with you, to have and to hold from this day forward, all that kind of stuff. I want to be with you. I want to spend time with you.
Now let me interject really quick. Okay. So because I see people out there with the trends with the 222 every 2 weeks, every 2 months, every 2 years, and everything. So with dating once a week, just to get some clarity for the audience, it doesn't matter the type of event. It could be a free event.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so absolutely. I want to make sure the audience knows.
If you can do date night, that's awesome. Okay, but date night, date morning, date brunch, date weekend. I know some couples who are engaged, and the first excuse is, well, we ain't got no money. Yeah. I was like, listen, if any of you went to college, y'all dated without money. Like the laundromat was the date. When I was in college, we went to Taco Bell. I remember a time when you could get a feast for $4.
Oh man.
But you'll figure it out. Going to the river, going to the bridge, whatever, there's ways to just spend time. We're just going to go for a walk. If that's your date, go for it. Light candles and eat a Big Mac. I don't care. I mean, that's a date. But the idea for the first idea is this: it's not so much it's not the money, it's the plan. A date is a planned activity. It is a planned activity. What most couples sort of fall into is, hey, what do you want to do tonight? I don't know. What do you want to do tonight? I don't know. What do you want to do tonight? And they just whatever. We just find, Netflix, or we'll just figure out where we're going to eat or whatever. So you got to go on a date once a week. The second rule, and this really applies to engaged couples. The second rule is there will be no wedding talk on date night. No wedding talk.
Okay? No wedding talk.
What happens is once you get engaged, there's this machine that starts to churn. And it gets bigger every year. Like today's weddings are around, an average of about $30,000. Now I think that's ridiculous, and that's a topic that's an whole other topic.
That is ridiculous.
But $30,000, and so the planning that goes into that. So couples spend a lot of time together, and they're planning, but it's planning. They're an event planning. They're not dating. So you want it one night a week. We're not talking about this event. We're not talking about this event. We are not talking about it. And that's hard. That is hard for a lot of couples. But and I always say, hey, man, it's discipline. It's like flags, whistles, penalty box, whatever, like 10 yards. Like you can't. No. And because the reality is, if all you do is you talk about this event up until the wedding, you're going to wake up the next day and have nothing to talk about. It's like the day after Christmas. Like, what are we doing? Okay. It's like me the Monday after the Super Bowl. Like I wander around. I'm like, why isn't something on? It's 8:30 on Monday night. I should be watching something and nothing's on. You have to have things to talk about that are beyond the wedding.
Yes.
So the third rule is you're going to alternate who plans date night. This is important.
That's tough.
This is super important because date night dies for a couple of reasons. One of the reasons that date night dies, no offense to me, you, or any guy in the audience, but most guys, we have like 3 good dates. And we've spent them by now. We've used them by now.
I agree with that.
We try our best to recycle those to see if they'll still work. Or we come up with the guy phrase. The official guy phrase is, I'll do whatever you want to do. I'll do whatever you want to do. And we think that works. Like, hey, we're going to have a good time. And I didn't have to think of anything. And the girl's just kind of stuck on, didn't think of anything.
Now, let me say this. Okay. Let me give a bit of advice. Guys, if you're looking to do something different, and I found great success with this just from my own personal experience. But there's a lot of different apps out there.
Oh, absolutely.
That talks about events. So if a guy or a woman is ever stuck on something to do with the alternating planning dates, there's always Eventbrite. There's always
absolutely
Meetup. What is it? Let's Be Social. Facebook has a lot of different events on there. Like, using those different apps will give you a lot of different ideas about what's happening in your city, and being able to plan extraordinary dates.
Absolutely.
Like, I still think the museum is a great date.
Absolutely.
Like, it gives you time to explore, see what their likes are, what your differences are. Just where's their mindset at when it comes to cultural things.
Absolutely. So, but the way this works is like, so I'm in charge this week.
Yeah.
My wife's in charge next week.
Okay.
And we back and forth. And so the you can do it a couple ways. The first reality is that I don't have to think of it all the time. Sometimes we get competitive.
Yeah.
Like, my date's going to totally smoke yours. Like, you can do it on a financial base. Like, hey, we're going to have date. It can't be over $30. Okay. If you want to try that.
Okay. That's a good challenge.
But it's an every other week thing, so that you're constantly thinking, I want to do something that I know that they will like.
Right.
So you're not constantly thinking about you. Like, oh, of course, yeah, I want to do this. No, this is what I know you want to do this. And there'll be some dates that don't work. And that's part of the fun. During right after COVID, my gosh, I mean, I would go places and I learned real quick, you better Google this thing. You better make sure that restaurant's open past 7.
Yes.
That they're serving food,
yeah.
which is a weird concept. I mean, like, you should make sure that this stuff is all open. But that it keeps you thinking. I have to come up with something this week for my partner. I have to come up with something. And then the fourth rule is a very important one. Okay. The fourth rule is you have to ask the question. You have to ask, will you go out with me? That's crucial. Okay. That question is a powerful question. It's powerful. That question is in every romantic movie, every romantic story, even bad romantic comedies. That question is in there, and girls are looking for it. Okay, that question, we want to ask the question, or we want to be asked the question. Yeah, and it has power. And if you look, in every romantic movie, there's 2 parts. The first part is the question. Will you get dinner with me? Will you get coffee with me? Can I come see you? If you're watching some old historical thing, can I call on you this weekend or whatever? But there's always a question. There's always a question.
Yes.
Then there's a problem they have to solve. There's always a problem. Yeah. So it's not just he's cute, she's cute, they get together. No. It's we gotta there's something we have to fix. We have to find the map, we have to defeat my ex-boyfriend, we have to get out of the city, the aliens are whatever. There's a problem. There's always a problem you got to solve. But it's the metaphor for life. I've asked you the question and there's a problem we have to solve. Right. And that's why we're drawn to those movies. And it's like superhero movies are all the same. They're all the same. There's no new superhero concepts out here, but the love story is the same. I want to be with you. Do you want to be with me? Yes. All right. How are we going to solve this problem? So the question is a powerful thing. Now, here's the reality. Once you're engaged, once you're married, you may not have asked this question in a long time. Now, I asked it first, even if I was on an app, I asked you. Okay. But I haven't asked you this in a long time. What I've done is I've assumed, and she's assumed. Yeah. Okay, which is a great word. If I go out on Friday, I assume you're going with me. That's a very great thing. That's a very safe thing. I've worked very hard to get you to assume. Yeah. Okay. But assume also means I take you for granted. That I don't have to work for you anymore. That I don't have to, I don't have to there's the old technical word is woo, WOO. I'm trying to woo you. Okay. If I think I don't have to work for you anymore, then you're in a bad place. Okay?
I didn't think about it like that because we do in some instances in a relationship, if I'm going here, I'm definitely assuming that you're coming with me because you're with me. You're here with me. So if I'm going, then automatically you're going.
Right. And that's a weird thing. You should constantly be inviting the girl to come with you. Even as a family, even if you already know, hey, would you like to come with me? It's an interesting concept that you're still asking for that. Now, all right, come on, girl, we're leaving. Like, you're still asking. Because there's still, as weird as it sounds, I've worked with enough couples. I've seen enough bad things happen. I've seen enough divorces happen. If it was just as simple as putting rings on and then you're good for 50 years, I'd be a genius. I mean, I'd be a millionaire. Okay. No, we have to reaffirm. Girls forget everything that we tell them. Okay. So now they won't remember the stuff you've done. If you did something stupid, they remember that. Okay. But, if you have not told her she's beautiful, I love you, I like that dress, whatever. If you haven't said that stuff, they forget. Like, do you still love me? Of course I still love you. We're married. Don't you have a ring on your finger? I bought that ring. I paid for that ring. You know how many payments it took to pay that ring? No. So it's that kind of thing. But you have to constantly reaffirm. We forget. Does she still think I'm cute? Does she still think I'm attractive? Maybe there's something else she's looking at. Where would that thought come from? Where, but we sometimes we create that stuff, but it's not there if you're constantly, I call it woo and pursue, that I'm constantly asking you. I'm still coming after you. And the reality is, listen, there's no way that you've used all your pickup lines. There's no way, all guys, there's a whole drawer full of pickup lines we have not used. And so keep pulling them out, keep using them. Keep putting them into practice. Did it fall? Did it hurt when you fell out of heaven? All the whatever. Whatever worked for you. Keep doing it. So I always joke. I would say, hey, listen, if the girl comes in and she's super mad at you, and she says your full name and your middle name, you better think real quick. Like, oh, uh-oh. And I always say, hey, listen. Before you say anything, I just wanted to know if you would go out with me on Friday. And she'll shake her head and she won't know what to do. And like, what happened? Why did I come in here? She goes, you came in here so I could ask you out. And it works every time. It works every time. That's free advice to your listeners. Okay. But there's something cool about it. That question sounds different than any other question. Okay. And for the guy, I would just say this, not to be crude or anything like that. If you want the answer to the one question you always want to ask, you better ask this question first. Okay. So guys, we have no problem asking for loving. Okay. You better have also been making sure you're asking for a date. You're asking if she will go out with you. And so if all the questions you're asking are just about intimacy, you better have something else. I just want to spend time with you. And of course, I love you. You're hot. Of course, why would I not want to be with you? I'm a man, whatever. You can do all that. Okay. If you want that, you have to ask the question. You have like, I want to spend time with you. That has nothing to do with me just being physical with you.
Right.
And you will get more physical with that than if you just keep asking. I'm just keep bugging you about this thing. Nope, it doesn't work.
So let me ask you about this. Now, there was also this. It was two conversations that I definitely want to talk about. Mm-hmm. So the one is, talking about conflict and scheduling business meetings for tough conversations.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So, and I have the one about second marriages and blended families, because I just seen a post about second marriages.
Right.
And second marriages are about like 60%. That last about, I think, 5 years.
Yep.
About 60% of second marriages are divorced, and the average length was like 5 years.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of touch base on those two.
Yeah, well, let's do business meeting first. So okay, the business meeting, and I think the reality for most people is this, is that no one really has a good method for conflict. Okay.
I agree.
You need to have a plan. Okay. When you watch a boxing match or a cage fight, it may look very chaotic. It may look like these guys are just going in there, just wailing on each other. No. They have a plan. They've been coached on the plan. This is what we're going to do. And so you need to have a plan for conflict. And most people don't have a plan. So what happens in conflict, there's two things. There's something called pursue and there's something called distance.
Okay.
And you could pursue distance. You could call it cops and robbers. You can call it cat and mouse, whatever. There's one that is chasing and there's one that is running.
Yeah.
Okay. And usually in a relationship, it's always the same. It's if I'm the chaser, I'm chasing, and if I'm running, I'm usually running. Most conflict surprises everybody.
Yeah,
no one's ready for it. Okay, I'm not getting off this call and saying, "Well, I better hurry up because I got a fight with my wife at 8:00." No, we don't. We just don't think like that.
A schedule argument.
Yeah. So, but the reality, like when you get into an argument with somebody was ready for it.
Right.
One of you was ready for it, not two. And so a lot of times the one who's not ready for it, they're kind of backing up and they're trying to get out of it. Like, hey, whoa, what are we talking about? Why are we doing this right now? Okay. So, I walk in and my wife says, hey, we need to talk about the budget. Whoa, wow, that's a big word. That's like, I haven't even eaten yet. What are we doing? Like, why are we doing that? Well, we know we got this thing to pay and we got this thing to pay. And I told you to take care of this thing and whatever. Like, oh, whoa. What do we, and a lot of times that sounds like conflict. It sounds like a fight, which it is, but you're not really talking about this thing. You're not really talking about the budget. You're talking about all these other things, and you're sort of deflecting. And so the scheduled conflict is very simple. It's called a business meeting, and you should have a business meeting once a week. So you should have a date night. You should have a business meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And it needs to be very clear, because if I'm trying to be sweet on business meeting night, no, that's not the agenda. If I try to do a business meeting on date night, no, that's not the agenda. So if I take you to Chili's and all of a sudden you're pulling out these budget things, like, no, we're eating chips and salsa. I'm not doing that right now. But you have it set, like, hey, every Sunday night, we're going to have a set conversation. It's going to be from 7 to 8 or 6 to 7 or whenever you want to have it. And it's super fast. You're not planning on this going to be all night. Okay. There's 3 things that we're going to talk about. I call them the 3 T's. The first one is time. Okay. What's going on this week? What's on the calendar? Is there anything I need to know about? Is there anything you don't know about? And hey, don't forget, we got this thing at the kids' school. It's Thursday at 3:00. Okay. I've had plenty of those conversations. Like, wait a minute, what are you talking about? 3:00 today? I didn't know that was happening. Like, yeah, you did. I told you. So you like, hey, is there anything this week that's coming up? The second one is tasks. The first one's time. Second one's tasks.
Okay.
Is there anything we need to do this week that's out of the ordinary? I'm going to work, so we're not talking about that. But is there anything this, like, hey, we got to take the dog to the vet. We got to take the car in and do something. Okay. There's things that have to get done this week that are out of the ordinary. They're not every week. And those are things I need help with. And so, if one of you says, hey, I need your help on Thursday, there's 3 things I need to get done on Thursday. Can you help me with all 3 of those? I can help you with 2.
Okay.
That sounds a lot better on Sunday than it does on Thursday.
It does.
If you ask me on Thursday and I tell you I can't, every time I ask you, you can't do, like, oh my goodness. And so, but you weren't ready for that. You just weren't ready for that conversation. But then the third one is topics. Okay. The third one is topics. And that can be a more lengthy conversation, more intense conversation.
Yes.
Hey, we need to talk about your mom. We need to talk about vacation. Mm-hmm. We need to talk about work. We need to talk about your work schedule. We need to talk about, something the kids did. We need to talk about, that's a big one. Now, but I'm telling you ahead of time. Okay. I don't just show up and say, hey, I need to talk about your mom. That will not go well.
Right.
Okay. Hey, on Sunday, can we take a little bit of time to talk about your mom? And that still might get you in trouble, but I've at least landed that. I've at least gotten you ready.
Right.
Okay. I always call there's something called I said a little bit earlier, the whole idea of the crock pot and the microwave. Okay. For when it comes to sex, okay, guys are the microwave, girls are the crock pot. Okay. Guys, when you ask guys, hey man, when's a good time to have sex? Most guys are like, I'm good. I'm good right now. Hey, I'm good. Morning, noon, night, weekend. It don't matter. I'm good. Okay. You don't need to give us much warning. Girls need a little bit of warning. Like, hey, at least let me go brush my teeth. Let me, like, wow, let me, can we do this tonight? Like, whatever. But when it comes to conversation, girls are the microwave and guys are the crock pot. Okay.
Okay.
I can get around any girl, my wife, my mom, sister, daughter, anybody. Okay. I can launch into just about any topic with the female, and they're good. I can ask them about work. I can ask about family. I can ask about church. I can ask about anything. I can just start talking. Wedding planning. If I ask a girl on the phone about, hey, what are your plans? Tell me about this thing. She just starts talking. Just talking. So I've seen this when I'm on the phone when I'm doing the premarital counseling. And then all of a sudden I'll ask the guy a sports question, or I'll ask him something about work. He's like, "Whoa, what are we doing? Off. I thought we were here for marriage counseling." Like, yeah, dude, I'm just hey, what team do you like? I mean, but their head is like, no, I'm right here. I'm focused on this. Don't ask me about work. Don't ask me about my family. Just ask me about this. And so, for guys especially, you need to tell a guy ahead of time. Okay, if we need to talk about your mom, that's fine, as long as I know that it's not right now. Okay, right now is a terrible time to have a conversation. Tonight's a great time to have a conversation. This weekend's a great time to have a conversation. You just have to give some time for that. And what happens is that you can spend 3 hours talking about nothing and end up in a big argument, or you plan it and you spend 15 minutes this weekend to do it. And couples that get really good at this, it's sort of a schedule thing, you know. And I've seen couples that keep like little notebooks or journals or whatever. And all they're really doing is like, hey, we are going to talk through the business of our relationship, because your relationship does have business. Okay, it is a business. You have debt, you have income, you have assets, you have, there's things that you need to make decisions on. You have calendars. You are a business. And hopefully you have more money this year than you had last year, and more, and next year you hopefully have more money than this year.
True.
And you've got plans, you've got travel plans, you've got to move the troops, all that. You need time to talk. And a lot of times couples will try to just pigeonhole it in. Okay. So, hey, I'm walking out the door and I gotta be at the office at 9, and it's 8:30, and I'm walking out the door, and my spouse says, "Oh, by the way, just letting you know, we're going over to Susie's house on Friday night for that birthday party." And you're like, "I don't like Susie. I don't like that family. We're always over there. What are we doing? They're weird. We're going to stay all night, But that shouldn't have showed up the moment I'm walking out. Okay. That should have been, hey, tonight, after dinner, can we talk about what's going on this weekend?
Right.
And there's okay. I'm thinking about going to Susie's, but I want to talk to you about it first before we decide. Okay. And I could chew on that for a day, and I can get to a place where I can land on that later. And it's amazing. If you give guys a little bit of time to think about it, we're good. If you surprise us, we can't do it. And we get defensive, we get loud. We think that's the key. I don't like what I'm hearing, so I'm going to get super loud. And that gets me out of it.
That makes me think I'm winning the argument.
Yes. You didn't win anything.
I'm winning because I'm louder.
Nope, that don't work. So, but if you give guys time, give us time. Okay, in an hour, I want to talk to you about this. Even an hour. I'm good.
Now, I seen something similar to what you had just talked about. It was about a married couple. The wife didn't like the step siblings and the in-laws. So they would go on, as they would classify, they would go on holiday or go on vacation every year with this family trip. And she took it upon herself to tell the family, we're not going without consulting with the husband. It was a complete emotional response.
Yeah.
But because of how she felt about the family, she made a decision completely without the husband, without having that conversation. Yeah. Which goes back to your point is, not bringing the conversation after the fact and saying, hey, I made this decision without you. It's like, wait.
Anytime you make a decision on your own, I mean, you in a marriage, you're one. We are the unit. And so, don't ever make a decision with your kids without talking to your spouse. And they play that. And we all did this when we were kids. Like, okay, if I don't like the answer from mom, I'll go ask dad, and if kids know, hey, listen, mom's answer is dad's answer, then nothing's going to get passed. But Yeah, no, you have to have a mechanism for conflict.
Yes.
And if you don't, so what? So you try to make it work on Monday. We had an argument. Then we're mad. We go to bed Monday night. Wake up Tuesday. We're still kind of cranky. And Tuesday, there's a little text war going on, and maybe we resolve it. Tuesday, we kind of forget about it. Wednesday, really what happens is, hey, I want to kiss on you some more. Okay. I want to, it's like, hey, I know I was stupid. You were stupid. Maybe I wasn't, whatever, but I like you because you're cute. And we make up and we think that's it. Well, we had a romantic night, and then all of a sudden the topic comes back.
Yeah.
And the dude's like, what are you talking about? We just had this crazy romance night. You didn't solve the problem. You didn't talk about it. You talked about it, you didn't resolve it, and you kind of forgot about it, and you both got frisky, and then you thought, well, that fixed. No. That didn't solve mom. That did not solve your finances, and it didn't solve anything. And so you want to have successful couples solve problems.
Okay. That's good.
That's the key. Successful couples solve problems. It's not successful couples sleep together a certain amount. Successful couples make a lot of money. Successful couples do XYZ. No, successful couples solve problems.
Okay.
And if you have a problem that keeps showing back up, you're not successful. Now some problems can't be solved. I mean, I can't solve my mom. I mean, I can't push her off a cliff. That's illegal in most countries, and
very illegal.
So, but hey, we could talk about it. Hey, this is where we're going to approach this. This is how we're going to handle this. This is how we're going to handle holidays, whatever. And you need to solve the problem. And most couples don't. They think that less conflict is better. So we just avoid conflict. So I've had couples like, oh, we never fight. That doesn't impress me. I want you to fight and to solve it. Even if it's ugly, even if it's, and I don't promote this, but like, hey, you had a big shouting match. Did you come to a solution, or are you just going to have this thing again next week?
Right.
So we fight about my friends this week, and we fight about my friends next week, and we fight about my friends a month from now. You didn't solve it. You did not solve it.
Now,
so solve the problem.
Now,
if you watch a movie and it's just a weird movie, and they didn't fix it. They didn't defeat the bad guy. They didn't get the stuff back. It's this weird tragedy. Everybody dies at the end. You're just like, what did I do? I just watched 3 hours of this thing and nothing fixed. Like, I want it to be fixed. Okay?
Now, one thing I would say is you're absolutely right. If you do, and this is from like a real life experience. I was in a relationship for a whole year. We never argued. Not one argument. And the first argument we get in, she walked out the door. It was done. I was like, wait, like this happened a little too quickly, and it was just over. But also with that, Dave, I want to ask you, I know we went over a little bit of time. The conversation is great. I feel like we can go on for like hours. What is one last thing to tell the Farewell fans about relationships, about premarital counseling, about continuing the work while in the relationship?
It's always going to be work. You're always working on it. You are always working on the relationship. And there's never going to be a point where you arrive. Okay. And there's an old cliche. It's the journey. It's not the destination. When it comes to relationships, you're always working on it. You're always working on it. And if you think that you've fixed yourself, or you fixed her, or she's fixed you, or whatever, no, you're always working on it. And it's okay. Everyone's working on their relationships. If you stop working on it, it's over. That the relationship's over. There's no need to work on it once it's over. And so you're always working on it. That is the biggest key. That I am constantly trying to woo my wife. I'm constantly trying to impress her. I'm constantly trying to ask her out. I'm constantly telling her she's cute. Okay. And I'm constantly flirting with her. And I know she acts annoyed sometimes, and sometimes I'm just out of control. But the reality is like, hey, it would be a very different thing if I stopped all the attention and if I stopped it all.
Yeah.
after a day or two, she'd be like, "What's wrong with you?" Like, what are you talking about? I just haven't had any corny jokes, and I haven't tried to pinch you, or I haven't tried anything. No, there's a point. You keep doing this. You have to keep working on this. But the reality is, you want to feel like you're moving forward. Okay, most couples who get stuck in a rut, it's because they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Okay?
Yeah,
and
I
guys
agree.
especially. I mean, I rehearse the conversation in my head, and it sounds ingenious when I think it out. Okay, and I start in with my wife, and she'll say one thing I didn't expect her to say, and then all my plans just sort of dissolve. The reality, like, you need to keep working on it. I need to keep learning who you are, and if you can have those two things, you can have a 1 day a week, 1 night a week where you are working on the relationship. It's just romance and fun. 1 night a week. And then you have 1 night a week. You have one mechanism for solving conflict. You're going to be light years ahead of everybody else. So that works for premarital. I try to teach that in the premarital thing because that's the stuff that's going to make you successful in your marriage.
I like it. I love it. But David, thank you for coming on to the show. You drop so many gems a day. I think the people that's gonna watch this gonna be rich. I'm not even gonna
absolutely. Thank you.
They're gonna have so much knowledge about relationships. We gonna see divorce rates go down. Like I just think that was just some great information that you provided. Farewell fans, listen. This has been a great interview. Make sure y'all go ahead and share this. This is a wealth of information. I may take this to go get married myself. Okay,
yes, listen.
You know how I feel
when
about
you're ready to get married, you're going to go to my website, which is weddingchaplain.com, and all my resources there. I have a blog there, podcast, book, everything you need. And if you live near me, I'll take care of your I'll come find you if you need. Listen, just call me.
All right,
let me know.
Hey, look, there you have it. I'm gonna make sure I drop that in the description for y'all, so y'all can go ahead and link with that before y'all go ahead and get married. It's a very big step. It's not all about the party. It's definitely about the journey, not the destination. We'll catch y'all the next go around. Peace.